The departure of Henry Cavill as Superman was not a simple casting decision. It was the public execution of a failed strategy, a cold and ruthless chess move, but an absolutely necessary one. For years, we have watched DC Entertainment wander in a massive creative limbo, losing the game against its competitors time and time again. They attempted shortcuts, forced epic narratives, and sacrificed coherence for an instant boom. In the world of finance and strategic gaming, this is called a stop-loss. It is the brutal moment where you admit the loss, cut the dead weight, and reset the investment before it consumes all your capital. DC, finally, had to apply the stop-loss, and the cost was the most iconic Superman of the last decade. The problem we are going to analyze today is not who wears the cape in 2025. The real problem is, why did DC reach a point where a total reboot was the only option? And most importantly, what does this easy hero tell us about the fatigue we feel when consuming these stories? To understand Superman 2025, we must first understand the collapse of the DC Extended Universe. While Marvel spent a decade building brick by brick, DC attempted to construct the entire skyscraper in a single day. The key to their failure boils down to one word that success hates: inconsistency. The DCU lacked a singular vision. Each director had a different thesis about their characters, sometimes dark, then comedic, then epic, then pure action. The result was a cinematic Frankenstein that confused and exhausted the audience. Think about the tonal whiplash. We went from Zack Snyder's dense, gloomy existentialist philosophy in Batman v Superman to the lighthearted, adolescent humor of Shazam. This lack of a guiding studio voice prevented the audience from making a long-term emotional investment. The public stopped investing their time and faith because there was no confidence in the process. Every movie felt like an experiment, not the continuation of a disciplined narrative. And at the heart of that failed universe was Henry Cavill. Let's discuss the Cavill dilemma. Physically, he was the perfect incarnation of Superman. The jawline, the imposing physique. He was the aesthetic ideal. But in the narrative, the Superman they gave us was, in essence, an easy hero. And by easy, I don't mean the actor. I mean the design of his character within the plot. In most of his appearances, Superman operated at the level of total invulnerability. His problems were not physical. They were philosophical and existential, but the average audience does not connect with a character who, in essence, cannot be damaged or defeated. The public doesn't get tired of superpowers. They get tired of the absence of consequences and the cost of power. If your hero never has to train, fail, or pay a physical price for their decisions, the tension vanishes. The risk factor is canceled out. That is why the public felt relieved, not sad, when James Gunn applied the narrative stop-loss to that era. The superhero fatigue so often discussed is not fatigue with the genre. It is fatigue with invulnerability. Think about the heroes that truly resonate. Batman. He is human. He bleeds. He breaks. His power is not the cape. It is the discipline of his training and his mind. Tony Stark. Iron Man, a genius with ego and alcoholism issues. Every victory comes with an immense personal cost. What does the easy hero give us? A power fantasy that demands nothing. And the audience, though they may not be able to verbalize it, is intelligent. They know that what is easy to obtain has no value. This is the principle of the law of cause and effect in storytelling. If there is no tangible cost, there is no merit in the victory. True epic narrative does not reside in the ability to lift a planet, but in the physical and mental exhaustion that the decision to do so implies. The classical tradition of heroes, from Hercules to Achilles, taught us that their greatness was intrinsically linked to their vulnerability and moral failures. When you watch a Superman movie where the destruction is massive, but the hero stands up without a scratch, the subconscious message is that success does not require sacrifice. And that, my friends, is the formula for narrative failure in superhero cinema. The DC reboot is an admission that they sold a lie. The appointment of James Gunn as co-CEO was not a creative choice. It was a mandate for corporate discipline. His mission is not to make a Superman movie. It is to build a consistent and coherent foundation that lasts 10 years. Gunn had to apply the stop-loss to Cavill because the previous continuity was too heavy a burden. You cannot build a new skyscraper on cracked foundations. The emotional cost of eliminating the beloved Superman was high, but it was a business decision. Superman 2025, now under Gunn, is mandated to be a hero who shows the process. He must be a Superman who is more emotionally and narratively vulnerable, whose power is not a cheat code, but a brutal responsibility. What does narrative discipline look like in Superman 2025? It must be seen in the details. Real consequences. His mistakes must have lasting consequences on the world. If he saves one life, he must fail to save three, and that failure must leave a scar on his psyche. The learning process. We want to see Superman fail in his youth, doubt his strength, and have to earn the respect and trust of Metropolis. Power must be a challenge, not a birthright. Vulnerability as strength. His strength cannot be only physical. It must stem from his mental resilience and his capacity to withstand the pressure of the world that depends on him. This is what makes him interesting. If Gunn succeeds in giving the new Superman a character arc where effort, doubt, and failure are key, he will have found the antidote to fatigue. He will have replaced the easy hero with the hero of discipline. Marvel understood discipline from the beginning. Phase 1 was not just about gathering heroes. It was about establishing clear rules, a consistent tone, and a progressive structure. Marvel's success is not magic. It is consistency in execution. DC failed because, when a movie didn't work, they changed direction erratically. They did not have a strategic plan to stick to. The key difference was that Marvel always made its heroes pay the price, whether it was losing an arm like Iron Man, losing their mentor, or facing the psychological damage of war. That emotional toll was the key to their connection with the audience. The stop-loss of Superman 2025 is a direct message. The era of shortcuts is over. DC must commit to consistency, even if the first step is painful and slow. Long-term success is built with the same discipline that builds strength. In the end, the truth of the DC reboot is a life lesson disguised as film analysis. Sometimes, to grow, you must have the courage to apply a stop-loss to what is familiar, to what no longer works for you, no matter how beloved it may be, like Cavill. Superhero fatigue is the audience's cry for stories that demand something from their characters. We don't want a character who has everything. We want a character who shows us how everything is earned. Superman 2025 is DC's last chance to honor the process and give us a hero worthy of his own legend. If they fail again, there will be no third reboot. Now you tell me, do you think the sacrifice of Henry Cavill was a necessary and justified cost to give DC the consistency it so desperately needs? Let me know in the comments.